Shalom, shalom, shalom. Soldier Ehud Benaniyah Sharala, the Battle Axes of the Most High, coming to you with another Fervent Friday. Proud of you had a blessed week. That you have been enduring during these troublesome times. Right? Giving everybody opportunity to come on in. Like, share, subscribe, hit that like button as you come in. Baba Kusha, which is please. Right? Shalom, shalom. Good to see you, Ak Moses. Good to see you, man. Blow the show forth for the chat, man. Let them know we live, man. We are live. Hallelujah, Yahweh. Another fervent week. Keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability, man. We're trying to get right. This week's class, right, is surviving slothful seasons, right? Con. Yeah, man, it's to see you, Deborah, right? Shalom. Yeah, it's two tabernacles in a row is just real weird. It happens the same way. Wake up, completely congested. I can barely breathe through my nose or anything like that. And it goes from that to, like, once the congestion starts to clear up, then I start to feel even more, not good, or what you want to call sick. But we know as it is, those are just spirits, you know what I'm saying, trying to attack your temple, right? Go from there to vomiting, you know what I'm saying? And from there, after vomiting, it's like that spirit is released back into wherever. Because, we're out in the wilderness. There's all types of spirits out there waiting to see who they can jump on and pounce on, right? Because we're in these slothful spirits. We can't let our gates down, man, during these slothful seasons, Salakia, right? So I'm going to start out in the book of Luke. We'll go ahead and get into it. Usually I give a couple of minutes and whatnot, but we'll go ahead and get into it. Got 6 people in the chat. If y'all can hit that like button, it won't cost you a thing. Just hit the like button. Help spread the word of the Most High to the 4 corners of the earth, right? And again, this week's class is surviving slothful situations, or as I wrote it, surviving slothful seasons. Shalom Yapah Ariva. Right? Sharaya. So we're going to start out in the book of Luke, chapter 9 and verse 62. Because we got to examine ourselves, right? We got to make sure that we're not becoming slothful as this mean season approach. As the seasons change, we know that these spirits leave. We can combat these spirits, and then they can come right back. Shalom. Good to see you, Michael. Good to see you, right? We're in the book of Luke, chapter 9, verse 62, right? And pretty much right now, what was happening is Yahushua was just rejected in Samaria, right? By the Samaritan village, right? So what it was going into at this point was what it actually takes to follow Yahushua, right? Because Yahushua only wanted the best, right? Only wanted the best, right? And this is right before 70 disciples had to be sent out, right? Well, let's go ahead and get into it. The book of St. Luke, chapter 9, verse 62, right? And Yahushua said unto him, no man, having put his hand to the plow and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of God, right? And what does this mean? What does this mean to us, right? If you're going to the extent putting fringes on your clothes, right? Women, you're throwing out your pants or converting your pants into skirts or dresses, right? You put the fringes on all the children's clothes, your clothes. You're dressing modestly. All that nightclub and skin tight stuff that you used to wear and was okay with wearing, you've gotten rid of it, right? Brothers, you're growing out your beard, right? Things of that nature. You're keeping these commandments. You're being a pleasing situation to the Lord in your household, in your everyday walk. You're allowing your light to shine, right? Keeping your children as disciplined as the Lord will allow. It doesn't make sense to be doing this work. You've been in the truth 1 year, 1 month, 6 months, 6 years, however long, right? And you're doing the work. You're going out the street teaching. You're doing flyer missions. You're rebuking friends and family members that are in sin that needs to hear that word of God, right? You're doing that. And then you look back, right? That's what it says. You put your hand to the plow. You're doing the work for the Lord. And then it says, and looking back is fit for the king. No man, right? It's telling you, if you're doing this work of the Lord, right? Hit those likes as y'all come on in. Doing this work for the Lord. And it's not easy work. Men and women and children. Children, you got to tell your friends no, right? Women, you got to tell your friends no. Men, you got to tell your friends no, right? Because if y'all can argue over things of the world, things on TikTok, things on social media, and you can rebuke about all that, you got all the talking points. Why not do this for the Lord, man? Why not show the Lord, hey, I'm happy with the opportunity you've given me to earn my salvation, right? Think about it, because when you look back, you're not fit for the kingdom, because the Most High doesn't want somebody that's going to be looking back. And there could be no sin or no disobedience in the kingdom, right? Because we got to really look at this. Again, Yahweh said unto this man, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of God. Let's go to 2 Peter 2:21. Let's build on this, right? Because you want to be fit for the kingdom, right? You see the world we live in? GMO foods, educational system, judicial system, all these different systems that they have is built and they're going to fail. Each and every one of them. Everyone's worried about who's going to be the commander-in-chief and all of that stuff. They already know who's going to do that. So if you're going to take off from work to go worry about that, stand in line, to put a little sticker on saying, hey, I gave a hoot about someone who doesn't care about me. Shalom, Aqua Panda. Good to see you, man. Prayers for you and the family, right? If you're going to go out and give a hoop for someone who doesn't give a hoop for you, because the scriptures tell us, you don't put nobody over you that's not your brother or sister, especially someone that's not following the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. You really got to think about that, because that's the most important part, right? Because you don't want your hand on the plowshare. Then you're like, well, I'm going to go vote for so-and-so. Or I'm going to go do this. Or I'm going to go, we're going to go see grandma on Thanksgiving. It might be her last Thanksgiving. No. If it is, it is. The Most High knew how he was going to take your grandmother, right? Y'all hit those likes as y'all come on in, man. You're going to spread the word of the Most High. Thus say he, right? 2 Peter 2:21, right? Because we got to see why we wouldn't be fit for the kingdom, right? If we're looking back, if we're taking our hand off the plowshare, we need to know why we would not be fit for the kingdom in the eyes of the Lord. Because we don't want to be confused, because man will confuse you. These pastors will get out here and lie to you and confuse you, right? The book of 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 21, for it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness, right? Than after they have known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them, right? It's telling you it's better that you wouldn't even known that you was an Israelite if you was just going to take your hand off the plowshare and go back into the world, right? A dog returning to his own vomit. These things happen, right? These things can happen. How are you surviving during slothful seasons? Because these things are elements of being slothful in the truth, going back, turning back, right? Because once you learn these holy commandments, you're like, wow, I'm worthy of the kingdom. And then you go back to sinning, or you go back to being slack-handed, or doing things that are not pleasing to the Lord. What do you think will happen? What do you think is going to happen, right? It's not going to go good for you. Let's get an example, right? Let's get an example of this turning back, right? Let's get an example of what the ramifications was of turning back, right? We'll get a real simple precept that everybody should know. But even if you don't know it, you want to mark this in your Bibles, get your highlighters out, right? We're going to go to the book of Genesis, chapter 19, verse 26, right? And we're going to see what happened when the Most High decided, hey, I'm going to spare this family, right? I'm going to spare this family even though they're living in a land of sin that I need to destroy, right? Even after Abraham questioned, well, if you can find this many, will you spare it? If you can find this many, will you spare it? If you can find this many, spare it, right? Let's look and see what happened, right? I'm going to start at verse 24. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground, right? The Most High didn't have to send an angel, right? He didn't have to send a messenger, right? And said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and allow you to flee to the mountains for safety. He didn't have to do that, but he gave Lot the opportunity, right? He gave Lot's family the opportunity, right? Let's see what happened. Verse 26, but his wife looked back from behind him, right? And she became a pillar of salt, right? It wasn't good enough for her to be taken out of a situation where she was going to be destroyed with her family. And Most High said, we can spare her. But guess what? Most High sometimes got to make an example. He has to make an example because we are people that need a sign, right? You go back to sin, you're going to be a pillar of salt. You're going to be a pillar of salt. It's going to be a slow downward spiral, right? Because even if you jump out of a plane and your parachute don't work, you ain't going to hit the ground in 30 seconds. You're going to be up there free falling. It could be 5 minutes. The Most High have that wind in a certain way. We're going to get the example in the Apocrypha explaining that Lot's wife was used as an example for our nation. Wisdom of Solomon, right? Chapter 10, verse 7, right? Matter of fact, I'm going to start at verse 6. When the ungodly perish, she delivered the righteous man, who is a she, wisdom, right? Who fled from the fire which fell down upon the 5 cities. We were just reading that in Genesis 19:26. It's the precept, right? Of whose wickedness, even to this day, the wasteland that smoketh is a testimony, and plants bearing fruit that never come to ripeness, right? The Most High has destroyed that place forever, right? And a standing pillar of salt is a monument of an unbelieving soul, right? You don't want to be an unbelieving soul. You don't want to be a monument, right? A pillar of salt, because guess what? You decide you're gonna, hey, you know what? I don't gotta go to class this week. Oh man, that's job. What a time and a half. You don't have to have it. If it's mandatory, right? That's one thing, right? But you can still ask, hey, look, this is my Sabbath. Do I have to work? Is there someone else that could work? It's nothing wrong with asking. Throw up a prayer before you go in there and ask, right? Is there someone else that can take my place, Lord, that you can put? No different than Isaac and Abraham. When the Most High gave him a goat versus sacrificing his son. Lord, can you spare me as you spared Isaac by finding that goat in the bush? Can you find a goat in this job to work these hours? That I don't have to work on my Shabbat. That I don't have to work on a high holy day. What are we praying for? What are we praying for? Are we praying for the righteousness that the Most High has given us the opportunity to reach? It's like a beautiful fruit on a tree, and you're hungry, right? Full of all types of nutrients and things that nature that's good for your body, for your temple. We gotta ask. We can't be slothful and say, well, it's only 3 or 4 hours and I'm getting time and a half. How you think the Lord feel about that? How you think the Lord feel about that? Now, next week, there's an error in payroll and you don't even get paid for that. Now you feel like you work for nothing. Most High can make that happen. We have to be diligent. We can't be slothful, right? We can't take our hand off the plowshare. If you're keeping those commandments, if it's 52 weeks, right? And you've done 52 Sabbaths or 50 Sabbaths, why miss 2? Why miss 1? If you got the opportunity to go the whole 52 weeks in a year, right? Why not hit every Sabbath? You should go 52 for 52, right? That's pleasing to the Lord. He likes that effort. You need to be every week. Did my Sabbath. Shalom, shalom, Brother Ray, man. We missed you at Tabernacles, man. I pray all is well with you, bro. Right? Let me see, bro. God, this is why I said surviving the slothful season, right? Because a lot of times if you ever been working, right? I work from home, and a lot of times the sleep spirit will try and jump on me, and I'm writing class. I can tell that spirit's coming because my handwriting starts to get real sloppy to where I can't read it. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm about to get up. I'm about to say, Lord, please remove this slothful spirit. Or I might have to just combat it by just making a stronger effort to get through it, right? We got to make sure we're doing what we can do to survive this slothful season. It's coming, right? It is coming. All the animals hibernate. This is the lean season. It's a little colder outside, right? You may say, hey, well, it's too cold to go to camp today, right? I got alopecia. My head is exposed while we're out there, right? I only can trust in the Lord to have mercy on me in regards to keeping the spirits of sickness off of me, right? Oh, we have to treat it. Big con on that. We have to treat this. We have to. That's why it says getting to the kingdom is not a race. You can run as fast as you want and then you burn out. It's a marathon, right? Reading every day. What my family's going back to, first hour, first breath belongs to the Lord. When you get out of the bed, first breath belongs to the Most High. He's deserving of that because it could have been your last breath as you laid and slept. You can easily just cut off your bodily functions while you sleep. And now you're just there. You're just a corpse. Blow your candle out while you sleep. No pain, no none of that. He can do that if he wanted to. So why not give him the first breath in the morning, the last breath before you lay down, man? We owe him that. If we don't feel like we owe him that, what are we doing? Are we really not being slothful at that point? You get up, you're on the phone. Hey, girl. Oh, what's up? Just that. And y'all talking about something in the world. One of your friends going to call you, right? Some reason. Well, hey, man, as long as you're doing thus say the Lord, right? I look at it like this. If you go on anyone's platform, right? If you go on anyone's platform, right? Treat it as if you were on a class watching your Hawashah, right? Treat it like that. That's how you won't be seen as a troll. If you know that there are certain things you would not do, because Yahweh sits with all of us, the angels sitting writing down with all of us. If you don't want to be seen as a troll, treat it as if Yahweh sitting right next to you as you get ready to type. Would you type that in front of Yahweh? Would you type that in front of the Most High, right? If he could see if your screen was in front of everybody, the host of heaven, right? Would you get up there and type that? Or would you say something or interrupt something? Because I'm not the Most High. I'm not his son, right? I'm just a humble servant trying to strive to get my penny, to get into the kingdom, to be looked at as a good and faithful servant. That's it. That's it. I have no ill will towards our people, man. But yes, we must look at it as it is, right? We must look at it as it is. So I'm in Hebrews right now, right? Because we got an example of Lot's wife. She turned back, right? And when she turned back, she became that pillar of salt. She's a monument, as it said in Wisdom of Solomon 10 and 7, right? We must look at that and say, hey, am I about to look over my shoulder and look back into the world and become a pillar of salt? Is my hand slipping from the plowshare? Am I doing things that's pleasing to the Lord with every opportunity? And like I said, when we wake up in the morning in our household, it's what I strive for. I know a lot of times I'm asleep when my children get ready, right? But as for me and my rib, first hour belongs to the Lord. Your first breath, right? If you ain't immediately got to run into the bathroom, which most of us don't, give the Lord that prayer. I don't care if it's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Give him that opportunity to ask him to map your day out, to forgive you for things, give you understanding, right? Have mercy on your nation, your people, the leaders of your nation, that we come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Give them that first hour. If you're watching street teaching, you're in your Bible, right? You're watching a class, nothing of the world. Give the world nothing. It deserves nothing, right? Because we want to be sought for the kingdom of heaven, right? We're in the book of Hebrews 13, and I'm in verse 21, right? Because this is what we want to do for the Lord. This is what we want to do. This is how we please our Father, right? It says, make you perfect. And this is Hebrews 13, chapter 13, verse 21. Make you perfect in every good work to do his will, right? Make you perfect in every good work to do his will, right? We want to see what's good work. Hold your spot. Hold your spot. We're going to get every good work because this may be someone's first time watching a class, or they may just stumble across it in their algorithm. The Lord wants them to see it. So we need to give them that understanding. What is the good work, right? It's not getting up, cutting your senior citizen neighbor grass on the Sabbath. That's not considered a good work. That's still work. She's going to give you some kind of monetary payment, right? She's going to try. No, this good work is what's going to be pleasing to the Lord, right? 2 Corinthians 9th chapter, right? And let's see here. Did I write that wrong? It's your 1 Corinthians. Salakia. Because we got to get these good works, man. Yeah, I thought I wrote, let's see, good works. I wrote that backwards. No words. I got my sheet that I put everything on. There we go. There we go. It was 2 Corinthians 9 and 8. Salakia. I put 18. 9 and 8, right? The book of 2 Corinthians, all praise to Yahweh, right? The book of 2 Corinthians 9, verse 8. And God is able to make all grace abound towards you, right? As you want the grace to abound towards you, right? That ye always having all sufficiency in all things. You want to be sufficient in doing things. If you're keeping these commandments, you're going to keep them to the best of your ability as your life depended on it. That's how you want to do it, right? Let's see. Come, y'all hit those likes. It won't cost you a dime, right? It says, in all things may abound to every good work. So I'm going to read that again. And God is able to make all grace abound towards you, because he does give us grace. Do we not slip, right? Do we do things that the Most High may say, I'm not pleased with that, right? Come on, give them your first hour, right? Chat, y'all give the Most High your first hour each day and watch how your day goes, right? Giving him that prayer at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, all right? And if you're still up at 12, give him another one before you go to bed. That you can't pray enough. Why do we wait until situations get bad to want to keep throwing up prayers and keep now you wanna just keep coming to the Lord because something's went bad? No. Why weren't you praying to him? Why weren't you talking to him when things were going good? He deserved that. He deserves that, right? And like it says, and God is able to make all grace abound towards you, right? That ye always having all sufficiency in all things may abound to every good work, right? You want to abound to every good work because who's to say you're going to get another chance to give a good work, right? Who's going to say that? So now that we know an example of a good work, right? The Most High gives you grace. He gives you the opportunity. Do that good work. Give that alms, right? And it doesn't have to be monetary. Hitting that like button is an alms, right? Because it helps spread the word of the Most High to the four corners of the earth, right? Let's get back into it. We back in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 21. So we got good works out of that. To make you perfect, right? We back Hebrews 13 and 21. Make you perfect in every good work. We got good works. 2 Corinthians 9 and 8, not 9 and 18, right? So put that down. Right? Let's keep going. And we work to, let's start from the top. Make you perfect in every good work to do his will, right? Because we got to do the Most High's will. Hold this spot. Don't hold it. We're going to jump over because we want to look at an example of doing God's will. Because we could easily go to the one that we always go to, right? But we're gonna go to that after that. But we want to have a point of Christ speaking, right? Because it says to do his will. We're getting an example of Christ showing what the will of his, which is the Most High, is, right? The Most High is the his in this point. So it says to do his will, right? Let's see what Christ says. The book of St. John, right? Chapter 5, verse 30. It says, I can of my own self do nothing, right? When has the Most High ever said that he could do nothing for those who believe that Christ is the Most High, right? When has the Most High ever, he's the Almighty. What does Almighty mean? It's nothing he can't do, right? Christ said, I can't of my own self do nothing. As I hear, I judge, right? And my judgment is just. Because I seek not my own will, right? But the will of the Father which hath sent me. Now, Christ is not a man that he shall lie, right? So why do people have such a hard time understanding who Christ is, who the Father is, right? We can't put the Most High in a box. There's no box in the world that he can fit in. That's why his throne is eternal. The hosts of heavens, all that stuff is eternal because it's beyond the comprehension of time and space and everything that they try to compute into science, right? We got to really look at his will. That's what I said in Hebrews 13 and 21, make you perfect in every good work to do his will. And we see right here what the will is. I can of my own self do nothing. We can't do nothing. We think we're out here doing something. We can't do nothing unless the Most High allows it, unless it's his will, right? It says, as I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, right? So when we rebuke, we want to rebuke. If we have to rebuke, we want to have a just rebuking, right? We don't want to be out here just rebuking because you know you can, right? Just rebuking everything. No, the Most High told us through his son, feed his sheep. Shalom, shalom, Aqua Genesis. Good to see you, sis. He said, feed the sheep. If you ever fed an animal, you have to let them eat from your hand. It's a gentle measure, right? When you got a dog, you don't just go over there and feed the dog any kind of way. When a woman is feeding her child from her chest, she don't just smother the child in. No, Feeding is something that is supposed to be a gentle, slow action. Look at how an older person eats. They take their time. They're not rushing through their food. There is no rush for them at that point, right? There is no. When you do that, you're it's like everyone driving fast on the highway, and someone gets into an accident in one spot. Everybody's going to end up being in a traffic jam or getting in an accident themselves. We must take our time with doing things. Does that mean being slothful? No. That's why it says be slow to hear, right? Well, slow to speak, quick to hear. So like I said that backwards, right? But that's why it says I can, because we can learn a lot from Christ. And we should be learning a lot from Christ, how to feed his sheep, right? It says, I can of my own self do nothing. As I hear, I judge. And my judgment is just, right? Because I seek not my own will. That's the key component of this. He's not seeking his own will. We have to stop seeking our own will, right? Because this is what can create a slothful situation. Because when we're not getting the response or the reaction that you're looking for when you think that you're in control of doing something, then it makes you kind of, well, you in there trying to beat mama down with the Bible. You in there trying to beat grandma down the Bible. They kicking you out the house, trying to beat your family members down the Bible. That's not how it works. That's not how it works, right? You got to have that one-on-one time. Hey, grandma, can we read the Bible together? You always wanted me to read the Bible. Can we read the Bible together, right? And you say, well, hey, I was reading the Bible and I came across this. Grandma, I want to know what you think about this, right? And take her to a scripture that might lead her into repenting if she is in sin, or her redemption, right? Because you never know, that might be your last opportunity to read the Bible with your grandma or your family member, right? Because there's going to be a lot of people that's going to kick against the pricks. Because when you go to your cousin that's smoking and you say, hey, man, you got to put that cigarette out. And they, oh, here you go with this, right? At the end of the day, that's that spirit saying that. That's not your family member. Your family member's trapped. That spirit is doing the talking. It's like having an abusive spouse, right? And you go to the house to go see your sister, and your sister's getting, beat by her husband. You go knocking on the door. He answers the door. What you want? That's how that spirit's reacting when you say put out that cigarette. And I'm just here to see my sister. Yeah, she sleep. Come back later. Boom, slam the door in your face. That's exactly what you're getting when you're trying to rebuke a friend or family member from a sin openly, right? Hey, man, can you put that cigarette out, please? Oh, man, you trip. Can you please put the cigarette out? I don't smoke no more, but I do want to talk to you about something, though. Can you please just put that out for a moment, right? If they take heed, all praises. If they don't just be like, oh, did it turn into an argument? Nah, you got to feed the sheep. Because guess what? The Most High may allow you that opportunity to feed that sheep. Got to be ready. Got to have them precepts in your hand like to feed. Got to know where you're going to go. This comes from studying and reading, right? Applying yourself. When you wake up in the morning, you want to pray, Lord, allow me to allow my light to shine. Help me to edify the nation. Help me to do the works, the good works. We see what the good works is, right? Because it's not of your own will. That's what we don't want to forget. Like Christ said, because I seek not my own will, but the will of the Father which have sent me, right? Christ didn't send himself. The Father sent him, right? The Father sent him. Because at the end of the day, if we're not doing what the Most High say do, what are we doing? You pleasing your own self. So let's go back, right? Hebrews 13:21, because this is something you want to stack up and have this understanding. Take this going forward, right? Book of Hebrews chapter 13:21, make you perfect, right? And we can be perfect. Matthew 5:48. We keep these laws. We're perfect in the eyes of the Most High. We're obedient and submissive to the Lord, right? It says, make you perfect in every good work. We got the good works, right? To do his will, we got an example of doing his will, right? at doing things of your own, doing his will. And we're going to get a bigger example as well. It says, working in you that which is well-pleasing in his sight through Hamashiach Yahushua, to whom be the glory forever and ever. Amen. So what we're looking to do is to be working in you that is which is well-pleasing in his sight. We want to be well-pleasing to the Lord because he's always watching you. That's why you have an angel that sits and writes everything. Don't you want to give a good report every day? If it's your opportunity to give a good report, y'all hit those likes as y'all come in, Baba Kusha, which is please, right? Won't cost you a thing, right? You want to make sure that we're doing his will. And you probably say, well, why is that so important? Because it's pleasing in his sight through his son, right? To whom be the glory forever and ever, right? Why wouldn't you want to please who woke you up? Because when you go into these Christian churches, right, and you listen to testimonies, someone gets up on the mic, hey church, hi congregation, they're going to say all types of things that's contrary to what the Bible says. Contrary, right? To what the Bible says. And you have to be able to look at that and say, well, it's not what the word says, okay? When I go home, I'm going to pray for this person because clearly that spirit is on them of deception and it's leading them to destruction. Little do they know. You got to pray for people, right? If they're of the 12 tribes of Israel, indigenous Latinos, indigenous Native Americans, right? So-called Negroes. We have to pray for our people, right? Because that's where the biggest problem in our nation lies. These other countries, these other nations, they don't care about getting into heaven. They don't believe that there's a God that sits on the throne that judges righteously. They believe in what they want to believe, right? Which is serving their own bellies. That's all they care about. This is why the heathens treat us in such a negative manner at all times. Psalms 40 and 8, because we got to understand what we're doing when we actually do the will, what is well-pleasing in the sight, right? Let's see what's well-pleasing through the sight. The book of Psalms, chapter 40, verse 8. I delight to do thy will. So he sees you delighting to do his will, right? That's pleasing to the Lord in his sight, right? I delight to do thy will, oh my God, yea, thy law is within my heart, right? And I'm going to read verse 9 to give it a little bit more context, right? It says, I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. Lo, I have not refrained my lips, O Lord, thou knowest. I have not hid thy righteousness within my heart. I have declared thy faithfulness and thy salvation. I have not concealed thy loving kindness and thy truth from the great congregation, right? Withhold not thou thy tender mercies from me, O Lord. Let thy loving kindness and thy truth continue to preserve me. What was he just praying at? What was what was David, who was patiently waiting on the Lord, talking about? Fruit of the Spirit, loving kindness, right? Tender mercies, right? The truth. So these are the things that he was asking for. That's why he said he's delighting to do the will of the Most High. And the law was written in his heart. He's showing the Most High, I'm diligent. Look at me inside out. Look at what I'm doing to please you, Lord. I'm not pleasing my own self. Like Christ said, I can't do anything, right? All I can do is what pleases you. That's what we need to be focusing on, right? That's what we need to focus on. We always need to focus on that. Let's go over to 1 Corinthians, right? Let's go over to 1 Corinthians. And we go into chapter 10, right? Because we got to look at it. David was delighting to do the will of the Lord, right? You got to be in delight to do the will of the Lord, to feed his sheep, right? That's why I delight to do it, right? Delight means you're getting pure joy. It makes you completely happy to do the will of the Lord, right? Rain, sleet, or snow, we go out there and serve the sheep, right? If the Most High will allow us to go out, we go out. It's nighttime, there's 20 or 30 scoffers out there, we're gonna keep doing thus say the Lord, right? 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31, because we got to really look at it, right? We got to really look at what we're doing. I'm going to start at verse 30. It says, for if I by grace be partaker, why am I evil spoken of for that which I give thanks? So when you're showing the Most High, I'm going to do his commandments, because we're thankful for his law, statutes, and commandments. But why are we spoken evil of? For doing shalom, Osterberkai, right? Why are we spoken evil of when we're doing thus say the Lord, right? This is showing you right then and there that what you're doing is pleasing to the Lord. And this is the spirit, that slothful situation, that slothful season that comes in. I'm going to speak evil of him. I'm going to discourage him, make him take his hand off make her take her hand off the plowshare. Make her look back like Lot's wife, right? This is what you want to look at, right? Verse 31, whether therefore ye eat, right? Because I'm not eating any of those abominations. No more pork, right? No more fish that has like catfish and stuff like that, shrimp, lobster, or even though I didn't eat no type of lobster and catfish and stuff like that, right? It says, whether therefore ye eat or drink, or whatsoever ye do all to the glory of God, right? So what we're doing, when we have those feast days, right? Hey, even if you get a small portion of food, right? Be thankful. Give the glory to the Most High for that small portion, because you didn't have to eat nothing, right? One of the prophets had to be fed by the ravens a day and night. Imagine being fed like that, right? We have to be thankful. You may, man, I wanted one of those sodas, or man, they drank the last cold bottle of water, or man, I wanted some of this strong drink and it's all gone. Be thankful that you were there to celebrate that high holy day, right? That high holy day, right? All praise to the Most High, man. He gets all the grace and glory. Like I said, I'm nothing but his humble servant, man. All grace and glory, right? Shalom, Dawood, right? We gotta make sure we're doing everything to the glory of God, because this is how that slothfulness comes in. I ain't going to the next feast day. They gonna just eat up all the food. I got there, I wanted some of this and it was gone. So next time I'm not gonna even bring nothing. No, this is where the slothfulness comes from. Because so what if you're bringing something you don't get a chance to eat that much? So what? Maybe the Most High didn't want you to eat that much, right? Because when you overeat, what are you doing, right? Why do you think most buildings have a actual limit to how much you can put inside of it? Because it becomes a danger to everyone in it. You don't have to eat everything there. You don't have to drink everything there. But what you do have to do, right? Whatsoever ye do all to the glory of God. That's the whole point. Thank the Lord that everybody was here to make it, right? Thank the Most High that somebody was able to eat. Hey, so what if I only got a little bit of this or that? Be thankful that you're there, and whoever did get enough, that the Most High was able to give them enough, because you don't know. That person could have not really eaten anything in the last couple of days, right? We have to a lot of times step back and ask ourselves, hey, whatever I'm doing, am I doing it to please the Lord, right? And some people may say, hey, you don't want to be over righteous and this and that. Key word to that is righteous, right? You don't want to beat people down with the, hey, doing this, do that, do this and do that, and this and that, and they can't see your works, right? You want to make sure your works are seen, right? Because if we're doing everything to the glory of God, this is what you want for a actual outcome of doing that, right? And jump over let's jump over to Colossians 3:17. We want this kind of outcome, right? It says here in the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verse 17, and whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord, right? So in the Adawan, Yahweh Shai, right? Giving thanks to God, right? And the Father by him, right? So we want to make sure whatever we're doing in word, right? You don't want to give somebody being sarcastic all the time, you brothers and sisters. We want to come away from that. Acting a certain way, right? You giving them the cold shoulder for no reason, right? We don't want to be doing this. We don't want to, this is not pleasing to the Lord, man. This is how we get slothful. This is how we go back into slothful. We're not allowing our fruits of the Spirit to ripen. We're not being able to share that tender mercy. Because if you're being cold-shouldered, you're not having tender mercy, right? You want the Lord to give you a cold shoulder when you really need him? You got to ask yourself that. If you want to be blessed with something, you have to be blessable. I like that. You got to be blessable, right? That's what you want. If you want to be blessed by the Lord, you got to be blessable. That's something we got to strive for, being blessable by the Lord. Because if we're not doing what's pleasing to the Lord, yeah, he may have mercy on you. Yeah, he may have grace on you. But are you blessable, right? That big blessing that you really need. That's what you want to be worthy of, right? Because a lot of times our people are not doing what's thus said the Lord by word or deed. They're doing what pleases them. I'm going to act like this with the brother. I'm going to act like this with the sister. I'm going to act like this to this person. Why? Do you really have to? I'm going to say this. You got to be very careful what you say out of your mouth because the Lord may give it to you, right? You might be in your car. I hate this car. Okay, the Lord's like, all right, no problem. I hear you, my child. I don't want you to be destroyed. Let me get this car up off you. Now you can beat your feet. Now you can beg for a ride. Now you can catch the bus. Now you can spend all your money on Uber, right? Yeah, you hated it, right? Oh, I hate this job. Okay, no problem. Let me take the job up off you, right? I can't stand. We gotta be very careful what we do because it's like giving. Like I don't know if y'all ever seen a little video, right, with Boosie giving his daughter like a Mercedes or something. And because it was a wrong color, she just got all out her mouth towards him on social media. He was all kind of negative, all type of negative words, right? Just disrespectful child to the parent. Now, is he serving the Lord? No, he's not, right? So the Most High had to use him as an example of how not to raise your children, how not to do. It's certain things you can't do, right? But yet, he's out here doing it. He has no problem. He has a pride of life on him. He could care not. But him and his daughter had a back and forth over a car, right? Because it wasn't a certain color, right? You can wrap a vehicle. You can go to a place and you can get the color you want, right? So if it's not the color you want when you first get it, it's okay. When the Most High gives you, if he gave you a handful of seeds and says, I'm going to give you a great tree for fruit, put it right here in your backyard. It's going to give you shade and protection of your house. It's going to give you fruit. It's going to give a home to certain animals that need a place. But I need you to dig this soil and I need you to plant these seeds, right? It's up to you to do that. You can't say, oh, well, Lord, man, I just need the tree. What am I doing with these seeds? It's hot out here. I got to do work. Get your hand on that plowshare and dig that dirt, man. Find that spot that the Most High told you to go to. Be obedient, just like Noah was obedient. It's like Abraham was obedient. The countless other brothers that were obedient, sisters that was obedient in the scriptures. You plant those seeds and you allow the Most High to water it, right? You be that faithful servant because you want to get in the kingdom, but you don't want to do no work. But you think you're going to get in the kingdom and you're going to be a higher up or something? You're going to be a servant in the kingdom. You're going to still be keeping the laws, right? You're not going to be a handmaid and stuff like that. No. While we're on earth, you're going to be a handmaid. right? That's who you're going to be an actual servant of the Lord, submitting yourself to the will of the Father, right? But you cannot allow pride to make you slothful to where you don't want to do what the Most High is asking you to do. You don't want to do that, right? So in word of deed, we need to be doing all in the name of the Lord, right? We need to be doing that. Let's go over the second Ezra, right? Because we got to really look at what we're doing here. Are we doing it, thus say the Lord, or are we doing it, just say we, right? Got to ask yourself that. Second Ezra, chapter 13 and 54 in the Apocrypha, and it reads, "For thou hast forsaken thy own way, right? And applied thy diligence unto my law, and sought it," right? That's what you want to do, right? Verse 55, "Thy life hast thou ordered in wisdom, and has called understanding thy mother," right? These are the things you want to show the Lord. Hey, look, what did Christ say in John 5 and 30? Think about that, right? Think about what Christ said in John 5 and 30, right? Because we wanted to look at what the will of God was, right? Christ said in the book of John, chapter 5 and 30, "I can of my own self do nothing," right? That's what Christ said. He says, "As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just because, it's like you. Because I seek not after my own will," right? Say it again, "because I seek not my own will, but the will of the Father which has sent me." Are we doing that? Are we really doing it? Because what did the scripture just say right here in 2 Ezra 13 and 54? It says, "For thou hast forsaken thy own way." We want to walk after Christ, right? We got to forsake our own way, right? "And apply thy diligence unto my law, and sought it." We got to apply the diligence to keeping those laws, statutes, and commandments. We got to seek after that. That has to be the main goal, the main objective. It's lucky. We cannot be slothful, right? We can't, because we have to apply that diligence, right? Let's go over to Wisdom of Solomon, right? Let's look at how we can apply the diligence, right? Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 13. "I learned diligently," right? "And do communicate her liberally. I do not hide her riches." Who was he speaking in reference to? Wisdom. That's exactly who he's speaking in reference to. He learned wisdom diligently by doing the commandments, right? Because we've forsaken our own way. That's how we're able to apply the diligence unto the law. As it says right here, "I learned diligently, and do communicate her liberally. I do not hide her riches," right? What is the riches and glory? To heaven, keeping these commandments, being perfect in the eyes of the Most High, right? We don't want to do that. Let's get an example of not hiding the riches. You don't want to hide the riches, right? "I do not hide her riches." Let's stand on that. Let's go over to Matthew 25, right? Because look, we really want to get these good examples of not hiding the riches. Who hid the riches? Anybody remember who hid the riches? Right? Matthew 25 and 18. Put in the chat if you remember who hid the riches. I'm about to read it though. Book of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 18, right? "But he that had received one went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money." That's who hid the riches, that one servant who got one talent. He became slothful, right? Because he wasn't doing the will of the Lord. He was like, "Oh, I only got one. Well, if I only got one, then I'm finna go just hide it and give him back his one. Because I don't want to go out here and mess it up." No, we can't do that. That spirit tries to attack me, right? It tries to attack all of us, but it tried to attack me. Man, well, I want to move to Texas. Florida to Texas, that's a long way. I don't even know. I want to go out here and not have enough money, right? What am I going to do for my family? Did Abraham think like that? When the Most High said, "Hey, come on up out of here, bro. I need you to go here." Abraham said, "All right." So I had to get to that point where the Most High had to have me built up. He sent his angels to minister to me repeatedly. Got it going on here, man. It's time to do the work. I need you to feed my sheep. I need you to pull up and feed them sheep for me. And what did I do? I said, all right, Lord. I said, hey, I'm putting this in your hands, and I know how it's going to go. It was hard for my rib to see it, right? It was hard for the children to understand it. But I had to pray just like the prophet prayed for his servant to be able to see the chariots and the horses when they were surrounded by a great host of their enemy. You have to pray these things, right? Shalom, shalom. Aquafnetta, good to see you, sis, right? You have to pray these things because there's a lot of things that's difficult. And because it's difficult, it creates seeds of slothfulness, right? Like a weed in a garden. It's going to choke out those actual fruits of the spirit. You don't want that. You don't want that slothfulness. Slothfulness is detrimental to your salvation, man. Little do you know it, right? And this week, I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do class on. And the Most High sent the messenger, conversation. And that word slothfulness came up. And I said, well, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, direct my path and guide my steps for this class. And that's exactly what he did. Because it made me have to re-examine myself to make sure that I'm not being slothful in the spirit. Because it's easy to do that. Just like with tabernacles. Each one helped one, right? I needed help putting up my tent. The Most High sent help. I needed help putting down my tent. The Most High sent help. So guess what? When one of the sisters didn't have anyone to help, guess what? Me and my family went over and helped. Then we went over to another person that needed help. Helped. You help people pack their stuff up. This is what we do. We got to pack up the trailer. If we're helping one another, that's pleasing to the Lord, man. That's giving alms of just services, right? Hey, sis, what do you want this? Can you lift this up for me? Yes, I got you. Do you need help with this? Hey, do you got everything? Can I help? Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. That's pleasing to the Lord, man. All praise to the Most High for each and every brother and sister of our congregation. In every congregation that celebrated tabernacles, and not only celebrated tabernacles, gave alms of service by helping one another do things. Hey, sis, I'll hold you, baby, before you go to the bathroom. All right? I'm going to do this for you, bro. Hey, go ahead. Go to the bathroom, right? We do small things. Brother on the grill cooking. Hey, I know you want to taste this beverage. Here go one for you before they all gone. We know how the children love to grab all the bottled drinks and stuff. Hey, it's something simple like that. That should be pleasing to your spirit. It's pleasing to mine, right? Should be pleasing to yours to do the will of the Lord, man. They give that little bit of, hey, you got it. You got everything. Y'all need anything over here? Nothing wrong with having that hospitality spirit. All right? And it was shown to me, hey, brother, would you like one of these? Yes, sister, I would like one of those. The water. Right? And it was pleasurable because I had no idea sister was gonna give me that. But it was pleasurable in regards to just being given something. It's, every day you wake up, you should have that pleasure that the Lord, he gave me life again. What can I do to serve the Lord today better than I did yesterday? He gave me that. He gave me breath today. I don't have a headache. My eyes don't hurt. My feet don't hurt. My hand don't hurt. I got gas in the car. I can make a little breakfast. I got a roof over my head. Nothing's going wrong in my life. How can I please the Lord for that? How can I show my thankfulness in regards to that? Not burying the riches. You can't bury the riches, right? Like that servant who got the one talent. Whatever talent you got, utilize that talent that thus say the Lord, right? Don't hide the riches of wisdom, because the Most High might take them from you and give it to someone else that needs that talent, right? That's praying for that talent. You could have been an example, but when you become slothful, when you take your hand off the plow, the Most High takes that talent from you, gives it to someone else that's a little bit more respectable of that talent, or utilizing that talent to edify, to bring pleasure to the Lord, right? Let's jump down to verse 24, because we got to look at what happens when you hide these riches and when you're not doing what the Most High expects of you. As he expects of us. He's like, if I gave you these laws, statutes, and commandments, I woke you up, I expect this out of you, right? Jump down to verse 24. We're still in Matthew 25, with verse 24. Then he which had received 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee, that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed, right? He tried to do what children do, right? And basically pandered. It was a little bit of pandering right there, right? He tried to stroke his ego with saying that, right? That's why he didn't do it. That's an excuse, right? We can't give excuses to the Lord while we're not doing feeding the sheep and doing thus say the Lord, right? Can't pander to him. The Lord don't need your pandering. He has a holy entity that just says holy, 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 and that's all he's created to do. He don't need you to pander to him. He knows what he is. The Most High knows that already. He don't need you to tell him that, right? Verse 25, and I was afraid and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast, that is thine, right? His Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knowest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I'm not strong. He's like, bro, stall me out with all of this trying to like stroke my ego stuff, bro. You know who I was off rip, right? You don't got to tell me that. I know this already, right? And he says, thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers. Doing the work, that's putting the money to the exchanger. That's not hiding the riches. You're getting out here, you're using the talents that the Most High is giving you because you prayed for them. You ask, just like I tell my children, you ask for a plate of food, you better eat what's on that plate. That's how I was brought up. We're not wasting anything in here, right? So if you know that you don't want that, open your mouth and say, I do not want any of that. I do not care for any of that. They give you a little bit, just a little bit, please. Out of respect, please. I'll take a little bit because, you know, kids, hey, I don't want the vegetables, right? A little bit of it, okay. But someone else may be standing 2 steps behind you that see those vegetables and says, yes, I want 2 helpings. They can probably get that 2 helpings by you saying, hey, I don't need that. Someone else may want that, right? But you have to utilize what the Most High is giving you, right? What the Most High is giving you. Think about it, right? He says, thou oughtest therefore to have put my money in the exchangers, and then at my own coming, I shall have received my own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him and give it unto him which have 10 talents. Right? Think about that. He went ahead and took that from him and gave it to someone else to help them increase, right? We don't want the Most High to take our salvation, to take the opportunity of the kingdom, right? To take the law, statutes, and commandments. And we become as Lot's wife, looking back, and now we end up as a pillar of salt. Because that's the only thing that's waiting for you when you look back. Destruction. Because that's what they were trying to escape from. The destruction. So that's something you want to think back. Looking back on your old life, doing things that you were doing back in the world, all you're doing is you're getting a couple of steps closer to the destruction. I'm very sure they can feel the heat on their back. They can hear the screams of the people that they were once cool with back in the world. You're going to hear that when you come out of that, right? When you come out and you do what you're supposed to be doing, thus say the Lord. You're going to hear that. That don't mean go back. It don't. It don't mean that. If you have a problem, you struggle with things, stay away from those that you know basically deal in those things. If you have an issue with smoking cigarettes or smoking at all, don't go around your friends that smoke to see if, I can test myself. I ain't going to want to smoke. All right. You're going to get jumped by a bunch of spirits. Next thing you know, you're going to be fiending for a cigarette. What? Because you can smell the smoke up your nose, right? You still... secondhand smoke, so you don't think you're smoking, stay away from it altogether. You can't play with the Most High like that servant in that parable I just read. Well, I knew you was a powerful man and you was this and that. Save it. The Most High said you don't want you smoking, don't be around it. Right? Don't be around it. Saw a perfect example of that yesterday. Hey, brother, put out the cigarette. Brother's like, oh. But he respected that enough to stand off away with the cigarette while me and some of the ops was having a conversation. All praise to the Most High. Wasn't no back and forth about it. Just did it, right? Because you don't want to be a waster of opportunity. The Lord's giving you the opportunity to do something. Don't be a waster of that. Proverbs 18:9, right? Let's go to Proverbs 18. Let's get an example of that. It says, he that have a sloth that is slothful in his work, right? Again, this is Proverbs chapter 18, verse 9. It says, he also that is slothful in his work is brother to him that is a great waster. Waster of what? A waster of an opportunity, right? That's what you don't want to be, a waster of opportunity, right? Think about those who've been wasters of opportunity. Get another precept to go around with that. Because you don't want to do that. Let's go over to Jeremiah chapter 48 and see how a waster of opportunity is looked upon, right? The book of Jeremiah, chapter 48, verse 10. It says, cursed be he that doeth the work of the Lord deceitfully. If you're out here doing the work of the Lord deceitfully, right? If you're basically saying, hey, you can't eat that catfish sandwich, give it to me. Throw it away. And you go around the corner and take a bite before you throw it in the trash can. What are we doing? Shalom, Abraham, right? Good to see you, soldier, right? What are you doing? Because guess what you're doing? You just sat there and made a whole big scene, right? So it says, cursed be he that doeth the work of the Lord deceitfully. Oh, brother, you ain't supposed to be eating that. That's an unclean animal. That's unclean. Give me this catfish sandwich. I'm going to go throw it away. Go around the corner and you take a bite. Angels is writing it down, shaking his head. Boy, look, this man wicked, right? You're doing the work deceitfully, right? Or you're basically trying to manipulate people into doing things, and you're trying to hold this you being a wicked ruler. You're trying to hold the Lord and the commandments over their head. You have to judge righteously, right? You have to judge. You have to be just with your judgment, right? Salaki, it says, cursed be he that doeth the work of the Lord deceitfully, and cursed be he that keepeth back his sword from blood. Let's get an example, because this precept right here fits somebody exactly. As a matter of fact, where am I put that? I'm going to write it right here. We're going over to the book of 1 Samuel. We're going over to the 15th chapter. All right. We're going over, because we're going to get an example. Who did this? If you know, put it in the chat. All right? Who did this? And there's somebody that had to be cursed because of his deeds. All right? Let's look and see. The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 3. Right? Because it says, cursed be, and this is what Jeremiah said. It says, cursed be he that doeth the work of the Lord deceitfully, and cursed be he that keepeth back the sword from blood. Let's get to the example of how this happened. 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 3. It says, and now go and smite Amalek, right? And utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. So look, got the instruction. The Lord said, hey, do this, do these, right? That's what the Lord said do. Let's look and see what Saul did, right? Jump down to verse 9, right? But Saul and the people spared Agag, right? Agag was the king of the Amalekites, right? Matter of fact, verse 8. I'm gonna go to verse 8. Salakia. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep and of the oxen and of the fatlings, and the lambs, and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them, right? But everything that was vile and refuse, that they destroyed utterly, right? So he was doing the work of the Lord deceitfully when he did that, right? The Lord said, go kill everything, the babies, the women, the men, the infants, the ox, the sheep, the camel, the ass, everything, right? Destroy what these heathens said, right? And what they did. He didn't destroy the Amalekites as he was commanded to do so by the Most High, right? This is how he held back his sword from blood, by doing that, right? That's how he did that. Let's go over to Psalms 28 and 4, because we gotta look at what the actual consequence for not doing what the Most High says to do, or he's commanding of you to do, by being slothful. He was being slothful. That's what he was doing. He was being slothful. He looked back and said, oh, well, that's some good sheep over there. Oh, that's a pretty good ox. Oh, that's some this and that. No. That's a beautiful woman. Oh, that's a little cute little baby. Saul was tripping, man. Big tripping. Right? And I'm a Benjamite. I'm ashamed of him doing that, right? But hey, guess what? I'm glad that he was an example of what not to do, right? As a Benjamite or as an Israelite, right? Psalms 28 and 4. Let's look at what the actual recompense should be in regards to that. It says, give them according to their deeds, right? And according to the wickedness of their endeavors. What was the wickedness of his endeavors? Not destroying Amalek, right? Allowing things to live. He kept back his sword from the blood that was supposed to be slain, right? Give them after the work of their hands. Render to them their desert, right? But we got to really look at it, right? And it says, because they regard not the works of the Lord, nor the operation of his hands, he shall destroy them and not build them up. Because what happened, right? What happened? We're going to get what happened, right? But we're going to go to Revelations 22 and 12, right? Because it says, render them their desert, right? Render them their desert. Let's look and see, right? Revelations 22 and 12. And it says, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be, right? The Most High came quick, sent his son, right? He's going to be coming back quickly. So this is the dessert that they're waiting for. And guess what? That dessert is going to be very quick upon them, right? For the works of their hands, the slothfulness, the being deceitful, right? Being deceitful, not doing that work properly, right? Jump over to Sirach 35 and 18. Let's keep stacking it, right? Because when you're doing the work of the Lord deceitfully, there's a lot of people out there doing that, right? There's a lot of people out there doing that. Sirach 35 and 18, right? It says, for the Lord will not be slack, neither will the mighty be patient towards them, till he have smitten in sunder the loins of the unmerciful, and repaid vengeance to the heathen, till he have taken away the multitude of the proud, and broken the scepter of the unrighteous, right? So let's look at some of the key points of what this verse is going into, right? Let's get those key components going back to Samuel, right? And get some examples. We want those examples so that way we can see what the Most High is showing us through his word, right? On what not to do and what will happen for being slack-handed, right? Slack-handed will get you backhanded by the Lord, man. You don't want that, right? So what did it say here in the scripture in that Sirach 35 and 18? One of the things that stuck out, right? it says, for the Lord will not be slack, neither will the mighty be patient towards them. Let's get an example. 1 Samuel 15 and 33. And Samuel said, as thy sword have made women childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before the Lord in Gilgal, right? Because we got to really look at this thing, right? When Samuel showed up, he wasn't playing no games. We read that in verse 32. Let's read 32. It says, then said Samuel, bring ye hither to me Agag, the king of the Amalekites, right? And Agag came unto him delicately, right? Oh, Samuel, what are we doing? And Agag said, surely the bitterness of death is past, right? Oh, that wasn't me. Don't Esau do this? That wasn't me. When they say, hey, prepare slaughter for their children, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. I didn't feel like that. That's how it is, right? Shalom, peaceful travel, man. Have a blessed day of preparation. Brother Yeshua is back, right? Samuel had no patience for Agag. What he was supposed to do, Samuel showed up and did it, right? And Samuel said, as thy sword have made women childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before the Lord in Gilgal, right? Yeah, think about that. Samuel showed up and showed out. That's why it says, the mighty, it says, neither will the mighty be patient towards them. You just saw it. Samuel was not patient towards them. It says, till he have smitten the loins of the unmerciful and repaid vengeance to the heathen. That's what Samuel was doing, right? That's what Samuel was doing right there in Sirach 35 and 18. Samuel was doing that in 1 Samuel 15 and 33. Right there, right here. It's like, just want to write that down. Right? So it says, until he has smitten the loins of the unmerciful and repaid vengeance to the heathen. That's what Samuel did when he took that sword and hewed Agag in pieces before the Lord, right? That's exactly what he did. He had no patience. That's what this scripture was describing, right? Now, it says, till he have taken away the multitude of the proud, right? That's what you think the rest of those people didn't get put to death by Samuel? You think they just let them keep that stuff? No. Samuel was doing thus say the Lord. That's why he was a feared prophet, right? So he was feared, right? That's why Eli had a little bit of fear towards Samuel when he was young, right? You got to think about the category of how Samuel came about. His mother was mocked to scorn because she couldn't have children, right? Right? His mother Hannah, she prayed and trusted the Lord, and the Lord gave her a mighty prophet. She didn't waste that opportunity. She wasn't a great waster like we read about in Proverbs 18 and 9, right? It says, he that also is slothful in his work is brother to him that is a great waster. Hannah wasn't a great waster. When she put those prayers up and was obedient to the Lord, she got Samuel, right? Samuel was trying to get Eli in order. His sons had a blind eye towards doing the will of the Lord. Guess what? Now Samuel was giving counsel, right, to Saul, right? You don't think Samuel was crying when the Most High came and woke him up and said, yo, man, I should have never made Saul a king because he's disobeyed me, man. He didn't do what I said do. And Samuel cried for that, man, because he's like, I'm the one who helped ordain this man, right? That's man, I tell you what, it was too late for Saul to try and say, well, I listened to the people. Don't put it on the people. You're the king. You're the king, right? He did that. That's what he did, right? Because we read in 15:11, this is the Lord talking to Samuel, right? It says, it repenteth me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he is turned back from following me. He took his hand off the plowshare, right? He's turned into the salt slowly, right? And have not performed my commandments, right? And it grieved Samuel, and he cried unto the Lord all night. If you've ever cried like a bitter cry, like you lost a friend or family member or stuff like that, how I cried at my daddy's funeral, right? The bitter cry, your throat is hurting after that. You're in a whole different, you're completely at that point exhausted, right? You're exhausted. Samuel cried all night because of that, right? Samuel cried all night because he's like, I was involved in this too. What can happen to me for this, right? Because I have part in this, right? So that's why he had to get up, gird up his loins, trust in the Lord, not be slothful. I got to go see about this now, man. I got to go fix this situation. Saul tried to lie. The sheep's told on Saul, man. He said, hey, where you get all these sheep from? The sheep, man, we went to Edomite. Yeah, guess what? It wasn't nothing Saul could say at that point. Oh, yeah, well, no, now somebody else going to be up the bat. You done struck out, man. You don't want to strike out on the Lord, man. You don't, right? The last part of this Sirach 35 and 18, we got to look at it because it's showing us this in Samuel, right? It says, and broken the scepter of the unrighteous, right? He did unrighteousness by breaking that commandment, right? Let's look at how the scepter was broken. 1 Samuel 15, and we'll get verse 26 first. And Samuel said unto Saul, I will not return with thee, for thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, and the Lord hath rejected thee from being king over Israel. Pat, and it broke his scepter right there, right? It was broken. Verse 28, let's see it. And Samuel said unto him, the Lord hath rent the kingdom of Israel from thee this day, and have given it to a labor of thine that is better than thou. Ooh, his feelings was hurt. Think about that, better than thou. Because when Saul heard that song, David has killed tens of thousands. Saul killed thousands. That resonated in his head that day, y'all. Think about it. He was told, he was prophesied that somebody better than him, his neighbor, that's better than thou, is going to get the kingdom. So when he heard that song that the women were singing about David being better than him in war, he said, oh, what's next for him to get? The kingdom? Because he already know the prophecy was there. That song gave him the old moment. Light bulb went off. This is who's supposed to be. Oh, man, are you serious, bro? That's why from that point on, he was trying to put the banana in the tailpipe. He was trying to put the water on the floor. He was trying to do anything he could do to put David in a trick bag, right? Because that wickedness, right? That's why that scepter was broken, taken from him, given to David to be the king, right? That was a hard pill for him to swallow, right? But we need to look at the effects of what was done because of his slothfulness, right? We need to look at that and make sure that we're not operating under that kind of understanding, right? Let's go over to Ecclesiastes 10 and 18. It says, by much slothfulness, right? By much slothfulness, the building decayeth, right? We got to really look at this, right? Got to look at this. The building decayeth by slothfulness, right? Let's keep going. And through idleness of the hands, the house droppeth through. Right? These are things that we really have to look at, right? How did Saul do that? He was being slothful, right? So his building started to decay. His spiritual temple, he stopped keeping the laws. Most High sent evil spirit upon him, right? Because he didn't want to do thus say the Lord. He wanted to do his own will. I'm going to keep this stuff. I'm going to spare this king, right? He didn't want to kill Todd. Todd made some great barbecue the night before Samuel showed up, man. And he said, hey, you know what? This is all right. Agag, you're all right. I'm glad I kept you around. Because Agag probably did like in the movies. Whatever they told you, I'll double it. I'll triple it, Saul. I got so much riches back home. I'll make you the most mightiest king in the world. Saul probably was like, that sounds pretty good. He says, look at the stuff I got that you don't want to throw away. I got way more than that. There's more than that. Just let me live, bro. Just let me make it. All right? Slothfulness, slack hand. He kept back his sword from the blood. Supposed to say, yeah, put Agag out of there, but he didn't. Right? This is how the slothfulness, the building decayeth, right? Because we're the temple of God. We will get that too. Through the idleness of the hands, his hands were idle, right? The house droppeth through. Being slack in the works, allow his kingdom to be snatched, taken away from him, and have his scepter broken. Because Saul wasn't doing thus said the Lord, right? Let's get that understanding of the temple, right? Let's get that understanding of the temple. Might be somebody's first time hearing these things. So we want to make sure we're able to feed the sheep. The baby sheep got to get fed too, right? Right? 1 Corinthians 3:16. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are, right? We gotta really think about it. Because when you read verse 18, this was talking about Saul. And a lot of us, you could easily slip and fall into this. None of us is able to get away from these kind of situations. Verse 18 says, let no man deceive himself. Saul deceived himself, right? Shalom, shalom, good to see you, Benaniyah, right? It says, let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seem to be wise in this world, let him become a fool that he may become wise. He had to become a fool in front of Israel. Samuel gave him, hey, look, somebody that's better than you is going to get the kingdom, right? And when he heard that song, he had his aha moment. Because when he looked at Jesse's son, David, right, he couldn't see the stature which he carried himself, because that pride, that's where he deceived himself, right? He thought he was wise because I'm the king. I was wise by keeping the good stuff. I kept it for you, Lord. He tried to do the same thing that was in the parable in Matthew 25:18, right? He buried the riches. He tried to keep that for himself. But you thought he was going to come back and say, no, where's my interest? Because these people have built the kingdom. Where's your works? He didn't have no works for him. So because he didn't have no works, it was all taken away, man. That servant did exactly what Saul did. We don't want to bury the riches that the Most High gives us, which is the works, the opportunity to do the works, the grace. I'm not going to be like, well, I'm going to do class at 1:30 today. I'm not going to get up, right? You don't think the sheep are hungry? You don't think the word of the Most High needs to be heard to the four corners? I don't know who may hear this message, but I'm going to do the best that the Most High can put into me to give, to make sure that this is edifying. This is pleasing to the Lord. I love to do this. I delight in doing the works of the Lord, man. I delight in doing this. It's not about me. It's about doing the works of the Lord. And we should all want to let our light shine. We should all want to make sure, even if you know that the person's not going to hear it, guess what? You still call them, you pour that feed over, and those sheep come running, right? You're going to get some sheep that's going to be standoffish. that may not want to come, right? You have to bid them to the marriage. You might have to put a little bit in your hand. Hey, feed them from your hand. Get them to come over, right? Shalom, shalom. Aquafalanina. Wait, Will Alina. Salakia, right? You may have to feed them from the hand. They may not eat with the other sheep, right? It's like Jerubbaal told me that time they went to go get a lamb, right? And there was one lamb that was over there. I mean, he was around there cramming them. If y'all ever seen the videos with the sheep and the ram and the little voiceover, he said that one lamb had but the other little sheep so bad he down and broke his neck. He couldn't even, when they was over there eating, he looking like, you better not even come over here. Like he really did, you know what I'm saying, did that little sheep dirty. We don't want to do that. You might have to go over there and feed them from the hand. A lot of our people are broken. A lot of our people are sick. A lot of our people are hungry, right? A lot of our people are blind. A lot of our people are deaf spiritually. How are you going to help to feed them? Think about your sweet grandma who you love so much, that fed you when you was a baby, and you could barely keep the food in your mouth, and she put the spoon on your chin and scoop it back in your mouth. That's how you have to feed the Most High sheep. You got to hold them like a baby, right? And feed them gently. Now, is it going to be opportune? It's going to be times where you're going to have to be fierce towards them, yeah. But you have to use discernment in regards to that, right? Because you want to have the tender mercy and the loving kindness that you want the Lord to have for you when you mess up. You're going to want that. You need to have that same energy for somebody that's coming to learn that's not as learned as you. You don't want to be slothful in the fruits of the Spirit. You don't want to be slothful in pleasing the Lord. You do not want to be doing that, right? Because this is why Saul made that big mistake in regards to not realizing he was the temple of the Lord. He had hatred in his heart for David, right? He had disobedience to the Most High, willful disobedience to that. He lied about doing it. He had rebellion, right? Because he rebelled against doing the work of the Lord, which is like witchcraft. Then that led him to even seeking a witch to commit necromancy. Slippery slope that Saul was on, right? Why did Saul go into that? Because of his slothfulness, right? It's a slothful season. Let's go. Proverbs 19 and 15. Right? Proverbs 19 and 15. Slothfulness casteth into deep sleep. Right? And an idle soul shall suffer hunger. Right? Our people are hungry for the word, man. We got to eat the whole roll. Are we eating that? Are we eating of the fruit of the Spirit, right? Are we doing that? Because slothfulness casts us into a deep sleep, right? Think about it. You think, let me get Isaiah 29 and 10. Let me just get that. Isaiah 29 and 10, right? It says, for the Lord have poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep. That spirit was poured out on Saul. Remember that evil spirit that was put on him? Hey, guess what? The spirit of deep sleep was put on him because he was being slothful in regards to his ways and his actions. The Most High is like, I am the king over you. The people cried out for a king. He's like, I give if I take him away. I'm trying to show you that you don't need this. I'm trying to show you the flaws of wanting to have a human king over me, an eternal king. I can show you the flaws of that, right? The Lord's like, I don't have no flaws. Let me show you the flaws of man, hoping that they will learn from that and come back to the law, statute, commandment, and serve him. Because now we got Yahushua, right? And we got the Most High. We don't have a physical king that's here that we go and basically say, oh, there's the king. Can I get a selfie with the king? No, we have the Most High and his son Yahushua. That's the royal chambers that we got, right? And we got to do the best with what we have, right? We can't be out here slothful, taking our hand off the plowshare, looking back, because you looking back, watch out for that tree, George of the jungle. That's how easy it can be to be out of there, right? But let's read again, Isaiah 29:10. For the Lord have poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and have closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers, have he covered. Think about Israel right now. Think about these pastors, right? Think about the so-called rulers, right? Think about all of some of these prophets that's taking their hand off the plowshare, going back into the world, saying things that are not adding to the scripture, taking away from the scripture, giving incomplete doctrines, giving prideful doctrines, right? The Most High will make an example of those who don't humbly seek him to the nations, man. He will do that. He will close eyes. He has no problem with closing eyes, man. And you got to really think about how the Most High looks at those who are slothful, right? And we know the Lord isn't slack. Let's go over to Sirach 22. Let's start at verse 1. Now I'm going to end it with this, right? 22 and verse 1 of Sirach. It says, a slothful man is compared to a filthy stone, right? And everyone will hiss him out to his disgrace, right? Didn't this happen to Saul? Didn't the people hiss him out to his disgrace, right? He died an embarrassment to our nation, right? That's how he died an embarrassment, right? Because he got hissed out of his disgrace. Didn't that witch yell at him, why did you lie to me? When she saw Samuel brought back, when she realized you just made me just openly commit witchcraft, right? As well as necromancy. She knew it because guess what? There's a lot of our women who practice witchcraft and don't even realize it, right? Doing social media sorceries, right? Got to be real careful, right? Got to be real careful. Them crystals ain't going to save you. Those chakras and doing all that extra stuff ain't going to save you. That's witchcraft in the eye of the Lord because that's rebellious. He's like, I didn't give you that. I gave you this. I gave you this. It's not grievous. And y'all yet still trying to do this thing. Y'all still worshiping yourself. I got you. Right? Verse 2, it says, a slothful man is compared to the filth of a dunghill. Every man that taketh it up will shake his hand. Right? You got to think about that. He was being slothful. He was compared to a dunghill. Right? And we use that word, a piece of dung. Right? Every man that taketh it up will shake his hand, right? If you ever touch something that has, I always say, you in the bathroom, using the bathroom, you cleaning yourself up, it's on my hand. Ugh. Or you cleaning the baby, it's on your hand, you shaking up. You got something nasty in your hand, you shaking your hand. You don't want to touch that. You don't want to touch that filthy stone. You don't want to touch something disgusting, right? Think about these things, right? Think about these things. You don't want to succumb to these slothful seasons. You want to survive slothful seasons, man. I'm Soji Hood, Benaniyah Shirala, the Battle Axes of the Most High. We say, keep the commandments of the Lord, right? So what we're going to do is we'll get a commandment. All right. Let's see here. Like, share, subscribe. Like I said, we're coming off a blessed and peaceful tabernacles. I pray all of y'all were able to enjoy tabernacles, even if you had to do it in your backyard. You had to put a tent up in your living room, right? It's about we're getting closer, I pray, to Yahweh Shai coming back for us, man. Because it's getting to the point where, as the kids say, these things ain't thinging, right? These jobs ain't jobbing. This life ain't lifing, right? But I tell you what, these laws are lawing, right? Put that on the shirt. I'm going to put that on the shirt. These laws be lawing. Yes, right? These curses are going to be cursing, right? We need to really examine ourselves and make sure that we're surviving during these slothful seasons. It's real easy to say, this is going on. You start doubting the Lord. You start not reading as much. You're not applying. You're not studying. You're not looking for that spark when the word is coming out. You're daydreaming. You're looking off and everything else. You're on your phone. No. Let's do thus say the Lord, man. Let's do it, right? Let's see here. You know what? I'm going to read this. Leviticus 24, right? Because we got to let our light shine for the Lord, right? And these lamps must burn continually. So you can't cut this fire off that the Most High is giving you. You need to let it burn continually to be a light for your nation, for your people, for your family, for your children, right? The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil, olive beaten, for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually, right? You want to make sure that you are on fire for the Lord continually. What's the oil? Getting in your word, studying, right? Cutting your own ways off and seeking the Most High, right? That's how you let that oil burn, man. That's how you let that oil burn for the Lord, man. Right? And also, I'm going to get 19 and 19 and 18. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge. This is Leviticus 19 and 18. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people. But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord, right? That's why it says, avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people. But thou shalt love your neighbor. This is how you know who your neighbor is, of your people. It's telling you right there, right? I'm Soldier Ehud Benaniyah Shirala, the Battle Axes of the Most High. Please tune in this evening for the powerful soldiers, Rajatak and Don, right? With that first works Friday. Please tune in, right? I am the bar. Aqua Walina, I am the bar, right? Kahala Yahweh Bahashim Hamashiach Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Akim Wa Akwatim, Barakatah Yasharala. Man, oh man. Do not take your hands off the plow, Yasharala. We must survive during these slothful seasons. I'm Soldier Ehud Benaniyah Shirala. I pray that this is edifying to the nation. Like I said, tune in tonight for a great edification as we're going into our Sabbath. Y'all have a blessed day of preparation and continue to do the good works of the Lord, man. Because without the Lord, what are we, right? Kahala Yahweh.